Welcome to MOOC online course on issues and challenges of urbanization. Today in this lecture we are going to discuss about or we are going to know various dimensions of urbanization and its consequences. As a student of undergraduation, we must understand one of the biggest problem in the world, that is urbanization. How the process of urbanization can be happened in the world and what are the consequences the process of urbanization has to be made in the society. How the society or the people is ready to face the challenges of the process of urbanization. So, before we are knowing the process of urbanization, we must understand that or we must know that the basic idea, the very basic concept of urbanization is what do you mean by urbanization. Besides, we must understand also that how the urban area can be declared or what are all the core elements which have been associated for declaring the area as urban area by the respective administrative system. So, on the one hand we had a concept of urbanization, that is a process. On the other hand, how we are going to our administrative system deals with the urban areas. Apart from that, we are also going to discuss about the trends of urbanization in our country, because India is one of the biggest democratic and developing country. How the country is facing the challenges of urbanization, how the system is responding the challenges and how to resolve the challenges of urbanization. So, as far as in the year 1901 till now, that is the last census which was happened 2011, how the urban population, the percentage of urban population to the total population has simultaneously increased, at the same time how the rural population also decreased at the village level. So, what are all the factors associated for rising the urban population, at the same time how the what are all the causes or the consequences or the reasons for decreasing the village population at the lower level. So, besides how the unbalanced, unplanned urbanization or the urban development was happened in our country or will be happening in the country, how the country is facing that challenges with the viable administrative strategies as well as the system. So, in that sense this lecture is going to discuss about how the urbanization process is happened, then what are all the biggest challenges are going to make such a kind of negative impact on the society. At the same time, how the system or how the policy decision taken by the governmental system as well as the local body system will help to resolve these challenges in a positive way. So, in that sense, how we are going to build up the sustainable environment or the sustainable society or the sustainable community for the future generation. So, in that sense, this lecture overall it is going to discuss about the various nuances of the urbanization process and provide some sort of solutions to the urbanization process. Today, the globe is facing many problems, out of which urbanization is one of the biggest problem, not only in the country, but also in the world. So, because urban population is growing at a faster rate than the average growth rate of the country. So, urbanization is an integral part of the holistic development of the country. So, in the recent past, the concept of urbanization and urban governance have become very popular. Urbanization in India has expanded rapidly as increasing numbers of people migrate to towns and cities for various reasons. The guarantee of growth due to urbanization, which provides various platforms to the rural community. So, before going to the process of urbanization, we should understand what do you mean by urbanization or what is the concept of the urbanization. Urbanization, we all know that urbanization is nothing but just moving of population from rural community to the urban community or the rural areas to the urban areas. So, apart from that, the process of society's transformation occurred in the process of urbanization. So, it is nothing but the movement of people from rural areas to urban areas, which includes two main things. One is an increase of number of people in the living urban areas or cities and towns. On the another side, an increase in the percentage of population engaged in non-agricultural activities, which is also very important for deciding the process or pathway of urbanization in our country. Apart from the population, we are also going to decide what is an urban area, what are all the preconditions for deciding an urban area or town or city, etc. So, in that sense, in India, an area declared as an urban area which is having a minimum population of 5,000 persons in the particular boundary. So, 75% of the male working population engaged in non-agricultural activities also. The population density of at least 400 persons per square kilometers decides this is an urban area. So, all these factors constitute that the urban area has to be decided. This is showing the trends in urbanization in India. According to the data from the census of Government of India from the year 1901 to 2011, we have showing that gradual increase of urban population from 11% to 31%. At the same time, we had a decrease in rural population also, because in the year 1901 we had a 89% of rural population, while last census was happened during the year 2011, we had only around 69% of rural population. At the one hand, decrease in the rural population, on the other hand, simultaneous increase in the urban population. So, in 2021 another census will be happen year by 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16. This is the projected score of the urban percentage of population in India. That data was published by the World Bank. So, it is clear that the percentage of population has been increased that from 11% to 31% in 2011, whereas percentage of rural has shown decrease from 89 to around 69 over a country. India shares most peculiar characteristic features of urbanization in developing countries. So, the number of urban agglomerations or towns and cities have increased from 1,827 in the year 1901 to 7,1935 in the year 2011. At the same time, the number of population residing in urban areas also increased from 2.58 crores to 37.71 crores in the year 2011. It indicates that the process of urbanization in India reflects the gradual increasing of trend of urbanization. The urban population in India was reported to 35% in 2021 according to the World Bank collection of development indicators. The United Nations, recently the United Nations has published a World Cities report in the year 2022. In that report, or according to this report, the urbanization was only delayed temporarily by the pandemic situation of COVID-19. India's urban population has estimated to stand at nearly 675 million in the year 2035, which is the second highest behind China. The India's urban population is projected to be 675 million in 2035, growing from 483 million in 2020 to 542 million in 2025 and 607 million in 2030, the report said. By 2035, the percentage of population in India mid-year nearly residing at 43%. The report also said that the big economies like China and India have a large share of world population, and their development trajectories have greatly influenced by global inequality. Apart from that, urbanization is nothing but movement of people from rural areas to urban areas. Besides, it is a movement away from tradition to modernity. That is also very important. Urbanization is nothing but a shift of economy from agrarian to industrial. Urbanization is nothing but a challenge of lifestyle from informal to formal. It is a change of scale from little community to mass society or the large community. Urbanization is nothing but a change of opportunities. Urbanization belongs to or thrives on two most important factors, which we can call it as a pull factors and push factors. We all know that pull factors attracts the rural population by various facilities or for the access of various facilities in the cities and towns. As far as push factors are concerned, it is a migration from out of the villages due to poverty, unemployment or underemployment or health facilities, whatever may be. So, in that sense, in order to understand the dynamics of urbanization or urban development in a large country like India, it is important to examine the changes in the levels and pace of urbanization across the states. At the state level, it is the pattern of urbanization is full of diversities, but economically advanced states more or less high urban population trend in our country. States like Punjab, Haryana, Gujarat, Maharashtra and West Bengal have higher levels of urbanization than that of national average of the country. But small states like Goa continue to top to the list among states, nearly 62% of urban population in Goa, followed by 51% of Mizoram states. Among the largest states, Tamil Nadu is one of the pioneer state which is going to other states with the levels of urbanization nearly 48% in 2011, followed by Kerala which is 47% and Maharashtra which is occupied the third position, having the population of 45% of urban population. So, among them Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Gujarat, West Bengal, Bihar, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Uttarakhand are the major states which is sharing the major percentage of urban population in our country. There are only 15 states in our country and the union territories which show an increased urban population growth rate during 2001 and 2011 as compared to 1991 and 2001. A very high urban population growth has occurred in the states of Kerala and Andhra Pradesh, while urban population growth rates have increased to 6.5% per annum in Kerala and 3% per annum in Andhra Pradesh during 2001 and 11, compared to just about 1% per annum during 91 and 2001. In both Kerala and Andhra Pradesh as well as in West Bengal and Gujarat, a large number of new towns have emerged as a result of rural to urban classification in 2011. So, due to this impact of unpredicted, unplanned urban growth or unbalanced urban growth, it has created many problems which has not been resolved by the state government or the local government or the central administrative setup, whatever may be. For instance, causes of growth of slums and squatter settlements, varying effects on environmental degradation and increase the burden on existing infrastructure. So, rapid increase in urban population in India leading to many common problems like overcrowding, increasing slums, decrease in standard of living conditions of the people, unemployment, traffic congestion, urban crime, and apart from that, another one important issue is environmental damage or environmental degradation, which is a very important threat nowadays in the world. So, besides the following are the byproduct of the certain kind of urbanization in low income countries, that is shortage of houses, critical inadequacies of basic civic amenities or the service delivery mechanism, acute poverty, slums proliferation, transport, deterioration of environment, decline in quality of living and decline in the quality of water. So, on the other hand, the lack of resources inhibits the urban government institutions to meet the demand and expectations of the citizens, leading to poor delivery of services. Inadequate finances as well as the ineffective governance are severely impinging the productivity of the urban areas. Urban local bodies are the main instrument as far as urban development or urbanization is concerned. They are crippled with variety of problems such as lack of capacity. That means the structure is not cope with the existing demand and supply, the absence of integrated and comprehensive spatial analysis plans, then the financial weakness of urban local bodies, lack of public participation in the planning in urban projects, lack of reliable and complete data for effective urban management and developmental projects. Therefore, the urban growth is happening in a haphazard and unplanned way. Unplanned, unbalanced urban growth may bring gains in short term basis, but also bring hidden problems and reduces the long term viability of the city as well as the productivity of the country. And overwhelming majority of Indian cities today are deficient in basic services. There is a wide gap between the demand and supply of the service mechanism as far as the urban local bodies is concerned. Cities are rapidly expanding both horizontally as well as vertically, utilizing all the surrounding land to build residential areas. Unfortunately, they are financially and infrastructurally weak to implement the necessary changes. Most of the emerging cities and towns in the country are on the average or verge of the breaking of new barriers. Unfortunately, the country is unable to effectively manage the rapid urbanization process which is happening in the country, or does not cope up with the service delivery mechanism in the urban areas. So, what are all the future trends, or how the process of urbanization going to travel in the future, or what kind of impact it is going to make in the society? With the rapid rise of urbanization in India, there is a gradual increase in the overall development in the different sectors. In order to face the challenges of urbanization, infrastructure, that is basic infrastructure, has to be improved. The government has recognized this and formulated many urban development schemes in the recent past. The central government has initiated many urban development schemes like Januram, Jawaharlal Nehru Urban Renewal Mission, Amrut, scheme of satellite towns, Smart City Mission, Hriday, Prime Minister Awas Yojana, Swachh Bharat Mission, National Urban Livelihood Mission, National Water Mission, National Urban Health Mission, Transport Policy. Like that, the government has both the state and central government has formulated many programs and developmental schemes for meeting the challenges of the urbanization in our country. Besides, the urban growth needs to be concentrated mainly on the following core issues. Number one is development of urban infrastructure. Number two, solid waste management, which is the biggest threat in the cities and towns. Sustainable environment, that is also a very important issue as far as urbanization is concerned. The last one is people's participation. How the people have been participated in the decision making process to accelerate the urbanization challenges. Smart City Mission, that means we are having a smart governance. We had a equipped administrative structure which is going to meet out the challenges of the cities and towns in the future. That means if the governance is very smart, the smart quality of life has to be ascertained to the local citizens. At the same time, the smart environment is also created. Then finally, we are in a position to create a smart economy at the local level. Satellite towns, next infrastructure is concentrated on satellite towns. The smart infrastructure to reduce the gap between the demand and supply. Effective waste, the third one is solid waste management. The effective waste management is imperative for environmental protection and sustainable development. As far as the urban local bodies are concerned, the solid waste management is one of the biggest threat nowadays. So, as far as facing the challenges of the solid waste management, now we have introduced a new kind of venture, that is called public private partnership. So, with the help of the public and private system, we are going to manage the solid waste management very effectively in the urban areas or cities and towns. That means we are going to convert the waste into energy, or we are going to convert the waste as to compost. So, finally, we are going to manage the garbage collected from the cities and towns. We have managed very effectively as far as urban local body is concerned. Then another problem is sustainable environment. The impact of, we all know that with the impact of climate change or the global warming, another biggest threat in the globe. So, rise in a sea level, that is housing a population in coastal areas are potentially going to be affected. At the same time, changes in the precipitation of water cycle will increase the problems of water supply in the urban areas. Climate change is expected to increase environmental related disease and other allied problems. So, poor people may suffer more as they have lesser possibilities to adapt. Global warming will be more in cities because of the heat waves that makes cities very warmer, and it is going to make such a kind of a lot of problems in the cities and towns. So, climate change related to drought as well as floods are expected to foster rural to urban migration. The migrants are the most vulnerable groups in any city, with no access to the city's livelihood network and a lack of skill sets to help them survive. Sustainable environment is another one of the main challenge in the future. So, we are going to adopt the green growth strategy for making the environment in a sustainable one. So, this is the one of the new concept which have originated from Asia and Pacific region to harmonize economic growth with environmental sustainability. The conceptual idea is we need development, we need economic development or the social development, but at the same time we are having the responsibility to concentrate more on the environment aspect of the development. So, enhancing the synergies between environment and economy is one of the vital issue for the purpose of building the sustainable environment for the future generation. To develop a green growth strategy, bringing together economic, environmental, technological, financial development aspect into a comprehensive framework. So, sustainable use of natural resources minimizes the pollution as well as the environmental negative impacts. Viewed as a key strategy for achieving Millennium Development Goals as well as Sustainable Development Goals, we should initiate green growth strategy for the future of our generation, as well as to build a viable or very fertile urban cities and towns. It has to be initiated as a social movement. Finally, we had a people's participation, that is also very, very important. So, without people's participation, we are not going to implement the plans formulated by the governmental system or the local body system in an efficient and effective way. So, people's participation, it is an integral part of the process of development, especially in a third world country like India. So, it is considered not only a means to development, but in itself a developmental goal. So, people's participation can be understood as a forum wherein people can participate in the decision making process. They should know what kind of developmental activities is carried by the administrative system. They should know what are all the decisions taken for the upliftment of the local area as well as the community as a whole. So, they must be involved in the process of development as well as the local affairs of the area. So, there are many levels of participation, or there are different kinds of participation in the developmental process. So, being part of the decision making process, being heard and involved, just being told what is happening in the developmental process or the decision making process. People's participation as the new method of promoting development in the 1960s itself was seen as a method to promote sustainable development and long term developmental process. So, thus it may seem like an equitable approach towards governance. So, participation in urban governance in India requires some factors or some criteria for accelerating or fostering the sustainable environment or building a possible urban cities and towns. So, it is going to make enabling in policy environment first, then we have to train the human resources, then we are going to apply or using the modern institutional designs, and most importantly open mindsets among urban planners and managers who consider people participation as a building block of accountable, responsible, transparent urban governance in the country. So, people's participation can improve governance by making it more, especially transparent administrative system. We are going to make a coherent system. We are going to make the system very accountable to the society as well as the people. Then at the same time, we are going to enhancing the capacity of the system, that is effectiveness of the system. Then we are going to deliver the services in an efficient way. So, in that sense, engage the majority, that does not mean participation process will satisfy everyone. However, it does mean that when people are involved in the process, they can more readily understand and accept the end result of the process, even if they are not 100% happy about it. To summarize, urbanization is a substantial expansion of urban areas due to rural migration, and it is strongly related to the modernization, industrialization and the sociological process of rationalization. Urbanization commonly occurred in developing countries because the government is keen to accomplish a developed city status. The government should not be keen to develop a city without considering the impacts on the social and environmental concerns. Policies concerned with urbanization and urban development must pay special attention and have to be constructed to increase the access of the poor to urban incomes and the basic services, so that they also take the advantages of the urbanization. Effective mechanism for sustainable urban environmental management, so that the urban environment will be supportive to the needs of a rapidly increasing urban growth. Urbanization is always a supportive force or the prime factor for accelerating the not only for economic development of the country, but also the holistic development of the country, but at the same time it should be welcomed. Indeed, we must seek out creative, sustainable ways to accelerate in the interest of both community masses and our environment. So, thank you so much for patiently listening my words. Thank you.